Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of Bobby J on 30A. I'm your co-host, Chris Angel. I'm here with Bobby Johnson and a special guest today. Bobby, hello, sir.
Look who I got.
Your guest, yeah.
Hey.
Does everybody know?
Kelsey Waters on board today.
Do people know Kelsey Waters in 30A?
Yeah, that's
Is
right.
she famous?
Yeah.
Does she play all the hot spots?
I just
I've
happened
played
to.
it for so long.
So I happen to have an
They haven't
insight
forgotten about
on Kelsey Waters. To Kelsey's my daughter. A lot of times people wonder, probably like, how is that name, that last name? That's Kelsey's stage name. Kelsey Johnson, and Johnson didn't make the cut, so it's Waters, and
It's got a good ring to it.
yeah. Anything we love water, so maybe that stemmed from some of that,
Yeah.
So Kelsey happens to be in town, and here we are, and we thought maybe we would talk a little bit about life. I think she gets asked a million questions about like the art of it, or how long you've been playing, or how long. You can find all that on her website, kelseywaters.net.
Or you can just ask me.
But
one day
she knows that when she gets in this chair next to me, and Chris attached to it, it's going to get deeper than that. So
I wouldn't want anything less than deep. I mean, deeper conversations is what makes it work, I think. So, Kelsey, what are the questions you don't like hearing? Like when people kind of give you the same old questions, you're like, okay, I mean, you're polite, so you'll answer them, but what you're like?
It's not that I don't like hearing them. It's just, we were talking about it, and I right now with like, if I'm answering press questions or something, it's a lot of like what made you get into music, or how did your childhood influence your musical journey, or why'd you move to Nashville? And it's just kind of the same old all the time. I can only make my story sound that interesting before it's not.
Everybody's digging for the backstory. Everybody wants an origin story. Where did it all start?
From a dad's perspective, I often, oftentimes this is a contentious point for us sometimes, where I'm like, and I run into this too, where those stories are important, because we've just said them so many times that we think that you haven't heard. You've heard, everyone's heard this. I have to remind myself sometimes in business, when I sit down to explain something to a seller, that I've done this 100,000 times, right? They may have never heard it. So I'm always getting on Kelsey about, look, tell the story. Everyone wants to, we've talked about that, Chris. Everyone wants the story, but she just didn't want to do it just here today.
Well, I didn't want it. It's his show.
No, it's not. It's today is your show.
You're in the hot seat today.
They're all sick of me, man. It's all about you, kiddo.
I think a fun question would be like, what's your favorite food? What's your
what is your favorite?
Nobody asks me that.
What is your favorite food?
Yeah, what is your favorite food?
Bad for you.
Fair.
What is it?
Pizza.
Oh yeah, pizza. Could do that every day.
Fried chicken.
You like burgers?
Cheeseburger.
Yes. So good. I have to ask, do you have like a certain fry sauce? Like, how do you eat your fries?
Anyway, you give them to me.
Ketchup,
Just,
right?
Like we do mayonnaise and ketchup swirled together.
Be a sauce.
Salt sauce.
Now there'll be like the new Kelsey Waters salt sauce.
Yeah. Right.
Will be coming out.
There you go. Salt it all up and I'll eat it.
I love it. Well, I want to ask you about purpose, because I think I think there's a lot of people who are living their life in a box, and it's okay. It's not a judgment. But I think that there's something tugging at their soul. And the thing about musicians is like, you have to have a extra helping of courage to go out and pursue that thing, that nod at your soul. And I would imagine you've learned some things about that, like what it takes to live life on purpose, what it's like to live life on purpose. So
yeah.
So take me back to where it all started. Like, how did you get into music? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
So yeah.
Actually, no, I got into music because I liked music. I grew up in a musical home, whether it was my mom, who was singing all the time, or had an entire music room for no good reason, just because it was a good outlet. And then my dad, who has no musical abilities whatsoever at all.
I can't even get a lyric. I'm amazed.
Can't even get a lyric right.
I'm amazed when somebody gets a whole line of a song correct. I'm like, that's a genius, right?
But he likes music.
Oh, I love music.
So that's, and he's very encouraging as far as, but yeah, back to like what you were talking about as far as the purpose behind it, and the I guess, what was it? The drive? Where were you?
Yeah.
Living life on purpose.
Living life
Yeah.
on purpose.
Well, I think it takes courage, right? Like there was a moment you're like, I like music. And then there was a moment as you're growing up where you're like, okay, I want to go do this as a career, but it means I'm going to have to not do this stuff. Like I'm going to have to not do school and people expect me to do school. I don't know if that's the case, but
Yeah.
there were choices you had to make that went against what people expected or would have judged you for. So walk me through some of that.
Well, I got into FSU. I actually graduated high school early because I'm kind of smart.
Yeah.
I'm kind of
Own it, girl, own it.
I graduated high school early and I got into FSU, and I was actually going for an interior design degree, and came like this close to making it into the program. But ironically, right around that time period, there was a open mic night in town, and the winner, there's like 3 winning slots, and the number 1 slot you won $500, which at that time was like winning freaking $1 million. I was so poor. I was in college and I had no money.
Was that the Beach Idol and golf place?
No, that was after. It was there was just an opportunity to make money playing music, and so I ditched all of my essays that were due and my exams, and I went and played that instead. Wow. And I don't know what it was. I just think I thought, this is fun. I want to.
So
more.
I'll lead the stage a little bit here if I could. Does that make sense? Lead the stage. How funny is that?
That's like a lyric. I don't think you got that lyric quite right, but I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant.
A long time I was known as Stage Dad, by the way, but I'll throw in my 2 cents on this. You know, I guess throughout this journey, I've always kind of been one to kind of dig in a little bit and try to figure out like purpose, life's purpose. Yeah. And it seems like I see people working jobs, you know, whatever, normal jobs, and there's nothing wrong with that at all, but I see a lot of unhappiness, you know, and I'd see that throughout life, and I'd see like people making $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year, and it seems like when I was in the medical field, it seems like the doctors' wives were there on Fridays needing the check just as bad as the guy that was cleaning the clinic's wife that needed the check just as bad, and they were all living in this same stress, the same thing, the same everything. And so I began to kind of think about that with my kids, to try to encourage, don't think about the money, think about what you want to do, right? And go down that journey. And that's where I saw Kelsey, you know, the backstory from my version of what I saw was like, we were helping her along the way through college, and then you'd sign up for 6 classes and I'd see 3 finished. She'd sign up for 4 and I'd see 2, and then she just flat out told me, like, you know, this is not my journey. And I could see like her journey over here in the music industry. It's a very short window. Yeah. You know, and I'm always like, you can always go back to school, right? I mean, but you can't go back to this and be young. And not to mention that Kelsey's a gifted songwriter, very gifted songwriter, and so we encouraged her to chase her dreams, and that's really where you are.
Yeah. And there's also like, I'm innately like a creature of comfort. So actually, to me, like it was more comfortable to think about, okay, I'm going to enroll in school. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to get my degree. I'm going to start my life, start a family, get married, do all the what all my friends were doing. And but my dad always raised us to like he's good at lectures. So the one thing that always stuck with me growing up was my dad always said, you're not doing the right thing unless you're getting uncomfortable. And so there's nothing more uncomfortable to me than going into a writer room or getting on a stage, even still after doing it for like 15 years. That's weird. But and when I'm not doing those things, I'm not happy. So I think I am, because I'm living this like normal life. But when I'm not busy and I'm not writing and I'm not getting on a stage and getting nervous and wondering if I'm going to suck or not, then I'm not happy. It's weird. It's like I always call my dad before a show because I get my pep talk and I get reminded of, I do really still do that.
Well, even like down to Brody, you know, one day he was playing or going a big lifeguard thing, you know, and it's on the way and you got to swim in the water, you got to strip down, take your clothes off basically, and we're in the back seat and he's like, gosh, Dad, I'm so nervous. And I said, thank God. And he goes, what? I go, then it matters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're,
Yeah.
the stuff that you get on stage and playing in front of 100 people, 1,000 people, 200
Well, you
people.
set yourself up
If you're
to...
not, if you're not nervous about that forever, I've heard like there's still musicians to this day that have been playing for 20 years that get a little nauseated before they go up there. And that's because it's important and it matters. That means to tell me you're on the right track.
Yeah. Yeah.
And hopefully that makes sense to other people. I think it does because, like, I mean, there's that high that you get after you've done something that you didn't think you could do or that you thought wouldn't go well, and that is what kind of coasts you through the rest of the way through. Like the high I get when I get off of the stage and I was really nervous and like, are they gonna like me? Are they gonna hate me? What's gonna happen? And I get off, and whether or not it was a great show or not, I still feel proud of myself and I feel like I accomplished something. And I wouldn't get that from I don't know, from anything else.
How do you manage? I would imagine, I mean, well, first of all, tell me, Kelsey, when you're going through a day in the life of you, do you have those internal dialogues, that chatter that's like, what am I doing? Or not sure what I'm going to do next? Or like, do you get that ever?
Yeah. Literally every single day.
Yeah. I'm on speed dial.
Yeah. Not every day. There's like someone, gosh, what was his name? It was a songwriter before I moved to Nashville who told me, gave me like the best advice. And he was like, this is what it's like to pursue a career in music. It's like this. It's like a roller coaster ride. There's gonna be a lot of highs, but with every high, it's going to come a low or what you think is a low. And that's when people aren't talking about you all the time. Or when do you know what I mean? That sounded conceited. What I mean is
they could be talking negatively about you as well. You got to fix skin.
Well, you want to know that it matters. Like, is it paying off?
Yeah. And so there's always like am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I doing the right thing? Because I am giving up a lot to do what I'm doing, and I don't have a plan B.
Interesting. Isn't that, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
I want to, because like, if you think about purpose, right? You think about like, I'm doing something like to go do music. That was a purposeful decision. And you had to say no to other things to go do that. And yet you still have this, constant dialogue about like, am I doing the right thing? I've had that. I have that all the time in business.
Yeah, I think
all the time
has that. And
yeah.
It's called my old yoga instructor calls it the itty bitty shitty committee.
Yeah.
Itty bitty shitty committee. It's the little voice in the back of your head that tells you that you can't do it or that you're not capable of doing it. And I think everybody, whether you're a musician or a real estate agent or whoever you are, everybody struggles with that. So I have to find every day, I have to wake up and either put on a song or a podcast or read a book or do something that reminds me that everything's okay. And I'm doing the right thing. But I have to remind myself of it daily, or I have to call someone, I have to call you, or I have to call Cash or someone that reminds me that I'm doing what makes me happy. And
I mean, think about it. So it's a weird business where it's based on, I think a little bit of what you do too, Chris, is it's based on judgment, of others, right? So like, a good friend of mine's a really well-known musician, Chris Tomlin, right? And he's the Time magazine says he's the most listened to musician in the world. He can stand up playing for 30,000 people and look out in the crowd and see one person standing there with his arm crossed, judging him. And guess where his thoughts go? Forget all the other people with their hands in the air jumping up and down. He starts focusing in on we're wired like that. We're wired to go towards that. When I always talk to Kelsey about is and I've mentioned this to you in the past, I mentioned this to agents all the time, is growing your fan base, right? Not everyone's going to love Kelsey's music. Not everyone's going to love this show, but we grow it one fan at a time. And that's all we need to focus on, because there's a lot of haters out there.
Well, especially the world that we live in. We live in social media world now, which is just part of it, and that's okay. And there's a lot of good that comes with social media, but there's also a lot of judgment, like you were saying. But that's why, you keep the itty bitty shitty committee very quiet. You keep your tribe.
I call it mine's my gremlin.
And your gremlin?
I got a gremlin that's just out there, and I've identified it. I've become aware of it.
So you have one voice in your head, and I have a couple.
I just
realized you have a committee.
I have two, and one is what is the old story of the Indian and the wolf, right? Remember that one?
Right. Yeah. Which wolf you're feeding?
Which wolf are you feeding?
Yeah, yeah.
There's two there for sure. And
Hmm.
and the question is, and I think tying this back all in, if you don't do the things that are going to keep the voice quiet, that wolf is going to win.
Yeah.
That voice is going to get louder. For me, it's the gremlin, and he begins to win. I get it down to, what I eat, down to sleep, down to living, as purposeful as I can. If not, that one begins to overtake. So I imagine in businesses where you're so out in the front, that voice can really eat you up.
I would imagine. Were there times, Kelsey, when you were making these decisions, and whether it was family or friends, just were like not in an agreement? Like, I don't know, what you were wasting your life away in Nashville. What are you doing?
What's funny is the only people that ever did that were exes. I have two exes.
Really?
Who didn't. I remember it was right before I left FSU. Someone that I was dating said that I was crazy for wanting to pursue music. And then I was like, well, you sound like an idiot and you suck, so I don't want to be with you.
Did that turn into a song, by the way?
Yeah, probably. and then just, another person. And I think that that was just a matter of me going off and turning into like a confident woman, and that may have scared them. But as far as family and friends, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about when we were talking about doing this together, was how I think it is rare, because not one person in our family has ever questioned what I'm doing, even though everybody for the most part has a normal good job, a decent.
There's no one in your family that has a normal job, but
well, yeah,
yeah.
I guess by normal I mean like they're not doing what they're not doing. There's no musicians in our family that are pursuing it as a career. We actually do have a lot of talented musicians in our family, though.
So,
but do you know what I'm saying?
Right. I
don't have that, and I have a lot of friends who did have that in their life.
With Kelsey and the family, and I think friends, we already know where she's going. We know that the itty bitty shitty committee is her challenge, but it's not just her. I constantly try to remind her of that.
Right.
We all have it, right? Yeah. The path is laid out for all of us. The question is, can we do the things that are required to climb that path? And it's okay if you can't. I mean, we get it. I mean, I sometimes in business talk to people like this, and I go, this might not be a path for you, because it's going to need it. And you hear people about musicians and all, and the goal and the task it takes. You're going to want it and need it as bad as you're going to need water. That's how hard it's going to be. Okay. You're going to have to want this. Think about it. How many musicians are there in Nashville?
Oh,
right.
Everybody's.
How many good new musicians are there in Nashville?
Everybody's.
Right?
It's full.
How many good musicians are there throughout the country? How many good real estate agents? How many good, people that do what you do, Chris? I mean, they're good. You got to want things.
There's always going to be someone that's hungrier than you. If you don't stay hungry, there's always going to be someone that comes up behind you that's a little bit hungrier. But like what you're saying with family, I have a lot of friends who don't have that support, but it's all about still a tribe, keeping a tribe. If my tribe is my family and my friends, that's great. But if you don't have the support from your family, then you reinvent your tribe. Maybe it's you bring in certain people in your life, like friends that push you and inspire you. When I know I'm not doing well, I have to reevaluate my tribe.
That's wow.
Yeah, I need people in my life who push me like they did growing up, now that I'm not home anymore. So if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I have to look at the people that I'm surrounding myself with.
Wow. That was like left field for me. I wasn't even thinking about that, but talk about living life on purpose. If you don't have a support system around you that champion the vision you have, like, of course it's gonna be hard to live life on purpose. Right.
And that's one thing that going back to yoga, which is something that you also got me into, which is a really great tool that my yoga instructor growing up taught me. I just remember him saying, or I think it was Kelly Precourt maybe, where we had to take a piece of paper and write down 5 people in our life that we spend the most time with, or that we talk to the most, and then look at how they serve us, or
they broke it down a little bit, maybe for you, that financial,
when I made that
health,
list, I was like, ooh.
And then you you write down your 5 friends, and then you categorize like spirituality, health, the things that are important to you up there, and then you judge these people, and there you are.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a direct reflection of who I was at that time based on who my top 5
Yeah.
friends were, who are great in their own right. No, not to bash
No, but I
anybody.
think in certain areas you can still have these people in your life, but you may have to tweak one in another area. You know, I've always told people that, you know, if you want to make a lot of money, you probably need to hang around people that make a lot of money. I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, I don't make the rules; they just are the rules. You want to be healthy, hang around healthy people.
Yeah, that's
you know. You want to be spiritual, find spiritual people. It's that simple.
you want to be talented, hang out with the most talented people.
Yeah, I mean, remember when I was
when
I was getting back into surfing, you know, and at first I didn't want to get out with people that surf better than me, you know, which was pretty easy to find people that surf better than me, you know, at that time. And so, but when I began to lift it up and get around those people and just flat out, you know, I suck, I'm just still getting back into this learning. Wow, things had started improving, you know, like, because I was willing to get around people that were doing something better than I could do.
Right.
And I kind of view a lot of things in life like that. I'm sure when Kelsey goes to these writes, she sits down with some pretty heavy hitters in the industry, makes you a better writer.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah, I'd never walk into a write thinking I know everything.
Yeah, right.
They don't know everything, but
right.
Yeah, I've learned so much from everybody that I write with in Nashville, even down to, you know, Tia, my really good friend. She's taught me how to write, and then my producer, who's younger than me, who just getting to sit in a room with him makes me feel like I have so much more to learn, which is good. I like that feeling, a good feeling. I don't ever want to feel like I don't need those people or I know everything. I hope I never walk into a room like that. Yeah. My friends would be laughing right now because they'd be like, "You never will."
I feel like
you never will.
You can live life in a way that is safe or right and like fits inside of people's expectations, or you could live your life on purpose, right, for the things that really make your heart sing. And either way, you're going to have, I think, either way, you're going to have some type of an itty bitty shitty committee that's going to have something to say about something. Like you're not exempt. Nobody's exempt from that. And so the only difference is what you choose to do with your life, because either way, you're going to have that internal chatter. So why not pick a life on purpose, then pick a life that tries to please everybody?
Yeah. Life is short too. Live the life that you want to live. Make it count.
Totally.
Look at that positivity.
There you go. Yeah. Should have heard her last night. It was a totally different story, man.
It's a long day.
I think there's a song in here somewhere. Let's write a song.
There's a song somewhere and everything.
Maybe let's wrap with just some final, like, first of all, there's some great gems in this conversation. So those listening, go back and listen again, because there were some crazy good gems about living life on purpose. Yeah, truth bombs on living life on purpose. But give me some takeaway. Like if people were thinking about, man, I want to level up to the degree to which I'm living my life on purpose. Like where would you point people? Where do they need to start, do you think?
I always go back to like, this is just a personal thing, okay? Because I'm not a motivational speaker by any means, but I always have to start my day with a meditation, not the kind of meditation that you do. Like I have this book that I love that I always go back to called The Daily Stoic, which gives me one thing to read a day that makes me think outside of myself and makes me want to be better. How can I be better every day? And how does that serve what I'm trying to do? How does that serve my path? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, that's great.
So like every day I try to, and this is mostly because you've instilled this in me, but every day I try to do something outside of myself that gives me purpose.
There's what I was looking for. I was waiting on it. I really was. I was like, so in summary, get uncomfortable. Life is, it's too set up this day and age for us to be comfortable. We don't even have to go anywhere anymore.
Right.
You know, we're just right here. We got to get ourselves, do those things that your gut and your heart are telling you not to do.
Getting off of social media for a little bit. Oh man. Right. Because it's not, there's so much good in social media too, in my opinion. I mean, I've learned a lot.
I think you could seek out the good. If you're going to use it for the right thing, like anything in life.
But getting away from comparing your path to someone else's path and seeing, we're only ever posting our highlights. We're never posting our lows. Actually, I kind of appreciate when people post their lows because I'm reminded that we're all
Yep.
We're all
Is this
in
going
the
to be,
same boat.
this isn't going to be one of our lows, is it?
This right now?
Right. Is this going to
Probably.
be, no?
Probably. I mean, I'm sweating. I'm nervous.
It's good.
Hey, man.
It's good when
She's
people
uncomfortable.
I'm
Hey,
uncomfortable.
She's
way to be
uncomfortable.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I think when people post their lows, or when people are vulnerable, it gives others permission to be vulnerable, and I think that makes good content. I think all of a sudden now we're humanity connecting with one another, instead of a bunch of puffers trying to puff and posture, and nobody connects to that because then we all just compare. But and I think that's what's great about music, by the way. I think great songs oftentimes capture the humanity. That's what makes it a great song. People really connect with the story of it. And I think content, and I'm just on my own soapbox, but I feel like good content comes from a place that's human and allows people to be human. And Bobby, I think that's what you do with this show. I think you foster that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's part of the point.
We're a little uncomfortable at times,
Yeah.
Sometimes you get into some stuff that gets deep, and not a lot of people are talking about it, but in business, they're all talking about, how this looks and how many likes I can get, or how many this or that, or how many subscribers or whatever. But the reality of it is we're trying to get out getting a little uncomfortable. So that's why we approached the show today like this. I think you can listen to 1,000 interviews with musicians and get asked the same thing. And I'm glad Kelsey brought that up, because I wanted to hear a little of her take on it. And I learned that she's listening to me. Yay!
Yeah, nice.
That'd be good. Calm down,
Kelsey. Let's give people a chance to connect with you. Like, where can people learn about your music, and where do people learn about you?
What's ironic is I was bashing social media for a second, but I'm big on Instagram. So any update in my life, musically and otherwise, mostly musically, it will be on Instagram. And I'm just Kelsey Waters. And I have a website, which is kelseywatersmusic.com.
Perfect.
Where I have some merch on there if you want to.
Yeah, get some Kelsey Waters merch.
Check out her t-shirt. And then, I won't say it online, but check out one of her t-shirts.
Nice. Got it.
It's a real dad moment.
Well, now you guys have to go to the website. Say one more time. Kelsey Waters music.com.
Somebody else has kelseywaters.com, and I'm coming for you.
Coming for you. You've been put on notice.
Is it sitting on hold?
Yes, it's
someone bought it.
It's like $12,000.
Ooh, premium domain. Dang.
Who is the other Kelsey Waters?
They bought it just because you didn't get it right away.
Oh man,
I would have got that for you.
Bobby, let's have people. If I know that people often, you are a local person. You're a local 38 local, and it would not be uncommon for you to have coffee with somebody that reached out to you from the community. If people want to reach out to you, and
sure, you can get me online. 38localproperties.com.
Okay.
38localrealestate.com, or just give me a call on the number below.
Perfect. Good stuff. Kelsey, thanks for being on the show. Great to see you. Great to meet you.
Good to meet you finally.
All the best in your music pursuits and your purposeful musical decisions and living.
Hey, and she's got a show coming near you in Portland. So remember.
Are you in Portland?
I'm in Spokane, but I grew up in Portland.
Where I'll be. I'm staying that's where I'm staying.
That's 7
in
hours.
Spokane?
I'm not playing in Portland. Yeah, I'm staying. That's in Washington, right?
Yeah.
That's where I'm staying. We gotta.
Hey, what's up? Well,
I don't know where to stay.
There you go.
Wait a minute. Where's the show at?
I gotta find a hotel. The show's at University of Idaho, which is maybe an hour drive away.
Yeah, it's south of here, but the Vandals.
But Spokane looked like fun. That's why we're gonna stay there.
Cool. Yeah, Spokane's awesome.
I will get you. I'll exchange
hook
numbers.
us up.
And
I thought it was Spokane, so cool.
Spokane.
Yeah. Say Spokane because then you'll.
So there you go. That's
it. Good to know.
Chris, you go out and get uncomfortable and go see Kelsey live.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I love it. Good stuff. Okay.
Take care, bud.
Good episode, gang. See ya.
Thank you. Bye.